Welcome back to the Pursuit of Creativity. Today we have one of the most creative people I've ever met. He's been a touring musician. He's an author. He is a creator. He makes animation. He is the Boy Scout creative himself. Shaun Huberts, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I'm great, thank you, mate.
It is
Yeah,
so
nice
great
to
to
see
have you. I'm so excited to chat with you. Like, your life is literally like a creative playbook. So we're
you.
going to go all over the place. We're going to learn about all the different things. But one thing I've been doing at the beginning of each podcast this season is asking right up at the top to set the tone, what does creativity mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, creativity is kind of being true to yourself in the sense that if you are inspired to do this or that, you're flowing in that direction. It's this constant state of moving around and going with it and learning. It's to
Mhm.
me, it's a big amount of learning. It's also just following your instincts. It's following your passions, but also pushing into them. Not just being like, oh, maybe this is tough. I'm going to go over this way. It's like, no, it's like you dive deep, you get to a level where you feel like, yes, I think this is great. But then I tend to shift and move on to the next one because creativity is it's a lot for me. It's all encompassing.
Yeah.
That's my escape answer of like, well, I can't really pinpoint it, but it's a journey to finding the me.
Ooh, I like that. The journey to finding me. So on that note, I'm really curious. So I could list out all the different things you do, and for those who have not found Shaun in their life somehow, you're a musician, a writer, an animator, a video producer. You're active in sports. You do stop motion. You do all these things. Can you think back to what was one of the first creative things that like really like you felt pulled to do?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things in my life that have directed to me where I am slash where I want to be, where I've kind of gone, and I'm not realizing it until like more recently. I think I've just been really noticing. I'm like, oh my goodness, right? That's why I'm influenced by this style of art, or that's why I kind of want to pursue this area. And I mean, I think first and foremost for me, music was my kind of my first passion growing
Mm,
up. My mom was a musician. I grew up playing music in the church, like a lot of, musicians. That was like a big training ground. My mom was a worship leader, but she had a band. And so I think I grew up always hearing that she was in a band and she would travel probably like the Pacific Northwest. And
mhm.
it probably wasn't even a real tour, but in my mind, when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, I'm hearing that my mom was on tour and I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. Um, so I saw a lot of music coming from her. My dad he's a veterinarian, so not as much on the artsy side of things, to be honest with you. But it was this fun element where my mom would bring in the music. And she's also an art teacher, so that was what she actually did for a living. So I think I was so influenced by her. Both my brother and I, like I took over more of the music thing, but he's an artist. He went to animation school. Like he's a proper animator. He's great. So took some music lessons, continued in music lessons, and then just kind of like opportunities just popped up. And then I
Mm,
think from there, I'm like, there's this weird rabbit hole. I could talk for hours on it because I think they're all connecting somehow. Like random styles of music I like that are quirky. And when I was growing up, I was like really into Primus, which if you
mm.
don't know this band, they are when I saw them classified as metal or like new metal in some record store when they had record stores, I was like, well, no, that's not metal. I'm not like a metal guy, but he's like this like really quirky bass player,
Mhm.
um, named Les Claypool, and every single one of his music videos when they would do it were all claymation. And it was just like,
Ooh.
I didn't realize this till like years ago. I'm like, oh my goodness. And like when I started getting involved with animation and claymation and all the stop motion elements, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's why I'm so drawn to this style. Because I didn't know it, I probably didn't do it until 15 years later.
Yeah.
So I think there's just so much inspiration throughout life that you don't realize is coming into your brain until later on, until you're allowing yourself to kind of like explore.
Yeah, and I find myself in similar situations where like I look back and I'm like, oh, I guess that did influence this, or oh, I guess that maybe was part of why I like that. I think everyone is creative in some facet of
Yeah.
of the word because of literally the point of the podcast. But like, do you would you agree that like so much of creativity is rooted in our childhood and then it can come out in different ways later?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, I was lucky in the fact that, I mean, I have a couple kids now, and so my mom is still heavily involved now that we've moved back to my hometown where they are. So she's, with my kids a lot, and she's so good at just being creative with them and letting them try things and letting them
Mm.
spill things and letting them make giant messes that my wife and I aren't as good at. Where we would love for them to do that, but maybe not in our house.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that environment that I grew up in was so key. Um, my mom was always allowing us to try that. So wait, rephrase the question again because I did find a point and then I kind of lost my track there. But
Oh, no worries. My question was, maybe even put simpler, is how much of creativity do you think is rooted in childhood for
yes,
to be found later in life?
yes, yeah, I think so. My mom was so good at giving us an environment to try things and to
Hmm.
play that as a child, one, we may have taken it for granted, but it was fully ingrained within us, both my
Mm-hmm.
brother and I, like, and so to be creative and to try things in a creative element that maybe aren't traditionally adult creative,
Hmm.
we were allowed to do that in our minds. That was all part of it. We had people in front of us showing us this is how you can be creative, and my dad was creative in business, and so my brother took on a lot of those kind of skills, and so like as much as I said he wasn't that creative earlier on, he is in different ways, and I think we all are. And the childhood for sure thing, I know there's a, in fact, I spoke at this event, Creative Mornings event it's called,
Oh
and
yeah,
I
Creative
spoke on
Mornings. I've
they
been to
asked me
that
to,
before.
yeah, it's the most awkward thing you'll ever see me do, but it was fun. But this talk was about play, and I was mentioning how that is play is a job when you're a kid.
Mm,
That is your job. It's learning, play,
mm,
being creative, and understanding how life works through play. And then at some point, it kind of stops. Suddenly, you're like, and I remember this. I remember, I think it was like graduating elementary school and moving up to the next level. My best friend was already there. He was a year older than me, and I think my dad was like, well, Sean, when you go up to the high school, you might have to act a little differently because, maybe your best friends have grown up a little bit and moved on. I was like, no, they're still, but suddenly I was aware of it
mm-hmm.
and I was almost afraid to play. And it did take some time to like get back into that. And then I realized I'm like, no, hang on. This is just me. This is how I approach things. This is how I'm gonna, yes, I can be more mature, and it has nothing to do with maturity. It's you know just allowing yourself to be true to yourself. And so it took a bit, but I remember having that mindset and like, oh crap, adults can't play.
Mm.
And it was, yeah. So I think the early development is so key, just to really, really allow kids to understand this is so important for you right now, because unfortunately the world is cutting it out later on in life.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like, especially in these creative fields, like we both do creative work, you obviously have a whole lifetime of creative work behind you. Like the ability to get past like the mental block of like adulting and like not being able to try and fail and mess up and things like that, I feel like is such a stopgap for so many people. And if
Yes.
they could get past that, then maybe, not that it needs to be your profession, but even just like something you're interested in, you could like get back to that and like accept and be okay that it's you're not going to be amazing or you will be amazing, but you have to try to do it. And so many people like don't even get that far.
Yeah. And that's the one thing. I mean, it's the with my son, I'm really trying to challenge him to try. You got to
Mm,
try first. It's okay if you don't love it. It's okay if you're not good at it. But I think you have to be willing to go through those early pains to figure out whether you want to keep going or not. And that's okay if you don't, but just that desire to be like, yeah, we're gonna suck. It's okay. We're gonna suck at this right now. But if we realize this is something that we're okay sucking at because we want to get great at, then let's do that. Let's push in hard, But yeah, it's always been a bit of a challenge, I think, just
Yeah.
to get past that mindset.
Yeah, the mindset of it all is very challenging, especially when everything in the world is saying, "No, take this
Yes.
path, do this, do that." But at any sense, I'd love to dig a little bit more into the musician, Sean the musician.
Yes.
What instruments did you play growing up? And I mean, I know what instruments you play, but for everyone listening, what instruments did you play growing up, and what instruments did you play in your kind of musical career?
So I am predominantly a bass player. So I grew up in my school in elementary in what grades were they? Like I think third and fourth grade. It was mandatory. It was just like a smaller school. Everyone had to play the ukulele. That's
Oh,
it was mandatory. And
amazing.
I mean, like I didn't grow up in Hawaii, but this is you know.
Look
Oh,
what I
hey, there we
have.
go.
This is my fiance's, but it's just like I have like, all this stuff like
It's
right
joy.
off to the
So I
side.
mean, Christmas concerts were chaos out of straight out of tuneness, but pure joy, and it was fun. But there was a big push to it, and it's like, yes, we're all doing that. I mean, I think there was maybe recorder in the grades before, but no one really remembers or cares about that.
Hmm.
But everyone had these little mini ukuleles, and I like there's a chance. Big chance that I may have been the teacher's pet, and there was
Ah,
one bass guitar in the classroom. And so the teacher would quite often allow me to play the bass. So unfortunately, I didn't really learn the ukulele because at the Christmas concerts, I was just playing the bass.
yeah.
I thought it was a fun way to get out of ukulele. At the time, I was like, yeah, I could, take it or leave it. But I did enjoy the bass. And then my mom took that on as, oh my goodness, you love the bass. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, I love the bass. And I got a bass at like sixth grade. She bought me a bass and I took some lessons or started taking lessons for many years. And I was pretty good at it. I wouldn't say I was outstanding by any means. I didn't spend a ton of time practicing, but it was fun.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
would do it, and then more opportunities came around, and then regular concert band and jazz band as you start to get older, and then got into a bit of jazz. So there's like a jazz band, and I mostly playing electric bass predominantly still there.
Hmm.
And then my teacher, who was amazing, shout out Miss Backrack, who really just looked out for me, wanted me to
Mm.
pursue this more than just being good at something. And so she went and got the school to buy an upright bass for me, which
Nice.
was, a good chunk of money. It was like the cheapest one you can get because those things aren't are very expensive, but it was still fun. So and then I went to a little jazz camp in the summer. I think in grade 12, I won like a music award. I want to say I may have been valedictorian as well. I'll just add that in.
Yeah, just
But
toss it in.
but she really wanted me to really consider uh, music. So
Hmm.
she put me in a jazz camp, and it was fun. Like I enjoyed it. Um, but there was that extra care that I think that she kind of put towards me that really made me feel special. And I'm like, maybe this is something that I'm okay to pursue. At
Hmm.
the time, I applied for university, got in university. I was in a math and computer science program. I mean, I liked math. I got a calculus award in high school as well. Went to university, realized I don't like math, don't really care about math. I don't really want to be a math teacher at all. I'm not
Yep.
as nerdy as I thought I was, as I took so much pride in being. Uh, it wasn't my scene. So I ended up going to music school instead. So I went to
Mm.
LA, went to Los Angeles Music Academy, which is now Los Angeles Music College of Music, I want to say. So started playing a lot there, and that kind of like really just changed my whole worldview of music and that. And I think it was a great school that kind of trains you for all types of music. And jazz was throughout the school year. There's blues, there's funk, there's Afro-Cuban, there's all this kind of stuff. And it was great. It was to make you a really well-rounded session player is ultimately what it was. I was playing a little bit of music back home in Victoria here, but not a ton. And so going to music
Mm.
school was like a big eye opener of where the music scene's at, where the world's at. But then I came back, I kind of left music school because I thought I had a tour going to China with this like really young country artist.
Whoa.
And I was like, I mean, I'm young. I think I was 20 at the time, and I turned 21 over there. I'm like, I'm going on tour to China, and it seemed like such a big thing. Came back and it didn't happen. As
Mm.
you know, when you're young, you get excited about gigs that certainly are never there, but there's a potential. So did that for a bunch, and then just kind of got more involved with other artists here and there, and kind of kept on going, and eventually moved to Nashville with a band, some other Canadian boys, signed to a record label down there, and so my childhood best friend, drummer, was, was playing with a band at the time. So he went to Nashville, then he pulled me in, and
Mm.
then our guitar player, who we started a band with too, was still doing stuff, and he actually ended up. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because I realize my story keeps going. Yeah,
Your life is so amazing. Like, keep going. This is
yeah, no,
great.
it's all over the place. But yeah, so we moved to Nashville. We spent 3 years there, playing in a band called Starfield with record label Sparrow, which is kind of a offshoot of EMI. And then our guitar player friend started getting involved in playing music with Tegan and Sara, who were pretty, unknown at the time. They were doing some stuff in Canada, but then they started getting bigger, and we'd actually cross paths, like, southern U.S. and like random little cities. And it was fun to like connect up, and then slowly but surely, he just, like, the guitar player kind of pulled both of us in, and the girls, Tegan and Sarah, were both being like, well, I mean, if we trust you, and if you trust them,
Mm.
therefore these are people that we're okay being in a small band with,
Yeah.
or which eventually, being in a big giant tour bus tin can with. But
Yeah.
either way, it's like when it gets to that level, and I think that was like a big realization as well of music, is you're there with people, going back to the creative side of things as well. It's like you're there with creative people, and not everyone mixes, right?
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
in all aspects of the world, just because you're creative doesn't mean you get along with this person. And when you're in the music scene, so much of music and touring is spending time with these people, sitting in a room, sitting in the room quiet with them,
Mm.
knowing
Hmm.
when to be quiet in a room with them. It's allowing these people, like, allowing everyone to be everyone, and not to just dominate things. And so that part of touring was really much, if I have trust in you as a person,
Hmm.
and as long as your musical skills are at a required level,
Yeah.
which they probably should be at this point, I'm going to go with the person who I get along with better than I am the better musician. Yeah, which really, I think, played into, was just beneficial to me. And I think I really enjoy people, and that's music for me. Music for
Mm.
me is the opportunity to engage and meet other people from all over the world. It's being in a different environment that isn't necessarily work. For me,
Mm.
it's being human with others from all over the world. And then music is like the fun, happy side effect of it all. So that kind of opened up a lot of doors in that sense alone. And then from there, we just kind of escalated, played a lot, and you know got to check off all my childhood dreams of playing on Letterman and Leno and
Mm.
Conan O'Brien, and like that was like my dream, to be able to. I mean, I know you're in New York City, but for me, as like a small town, far west coast of Canada, New York was. If you could play on Letterman, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Never downplay that. It's really cool.
Yeah. So that was fun, and that was kind of the music thing, but you know, it, it it ebbs and flows. There's obviously a lot of low times in there.
Hmm.
There's things don't pan out, like I mentioned earlier. But the dream and the goal is ultimately you're performing, you're being there, you're doing it, you're doing the work. You're putting the work, you're giving yourself every opportunity to do there. Just moving to Nashville alone, I think was a big deal as well. Being willing to, I remember getting paid at the time peanuts,
Yeah.
and my dad, who is a doctor, was like, "Huh, and I kind of hoped you would maybe, you know, just get a real job."
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the
The
same
real
time,
job.
yeah, correct. It's the constant argument. He's like, at the same time, for him, me moving to Nashville, like, as much as he wanted my future to be, it's always on his mind. He wants to make sure that I can have a family, or I can provide for myself even if I don't have family. So he's looking at it from that perspective. But at the same time, apparently, like all my friends are like, "Oh, I saw your dad. He's so proud that you're doing it. You're a proper musician now." I'm like, I guess so. It's like nothing's changed, but I'm pursuing it, right? And we're
Yeah.
trying it. And I think that's always been his thing too, is effort, effort, effort. Put in the effort. Whatever you do, you give 100%. That's all it is. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. You know,
Hmm.
you reroute then. That's almost like that's where the creativity has to come in as well. You know, wait, that path doesn't work. Okay, let's find another path,
Try
but we're
something
we're still
different.
pushing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that was yeah, there's a lot in there that's kind of I mean, I'm all over the place because that was kind of my life, but
A great metaphor in effect. But so many amazing things came to mind when you were telling that story, and it's so I feel like on par for a winding creative life to feel that way. Like you're here, you're there, you moved, you toured, all sorts of stuff, and that's really cool. And I think it comes back to what you said about your like what creativity means to you is just trying, and it felt like in each of those instances you were trying full out, like putting it, like going for it, which I think is really impressive. And obviously, it worked out pretty well. But I have a few rapid questions for you
yeah.
around touring with Tegan and Sara, because I think that's really fun. And I haven't had a touring musician on the show yet, so I want to get a couple things. So, first thought was you mentioned that a lot of touring is trust. And basically, like skill is important, but the trust you have in the people potentially is more important because you have to spend so much time with them. So, do you have a few thoughts on the importance of collaboration in creative pursuits and how trust like fits into that?
Collaboration for sure is something to me that means a lot when it comes to all forms of creativity. Music is no different. There is a, a big level of trust when it comes to this. And I think it's always challenging because we all come from our own backgrounds and our own vision for things. You have to be willing to trust the person, to be willing to let go of what you think is the best possible idea
Mm,
for the greater sense of creating a song, creating the album artwork, whatever it may be. There's so much involved, and if you're doing things together, to me, that's what I get most out of this world is collaboration. I'm not a singer songwriter. I'm not going to do it on my own, but I love doing it with others. I love helping craft things. But there's huge levels of trust in that. There's, from the simple idea of, hey, I've got an idea. I would love to, bang it out and figure it out with you. Like can we just sit down and listen? And like these demos so often are absolute garbage as far as sound quality, thought idea. Nothing's really thought out, but it's like it's there. It's a bare bones thing, but like you have to trust that this person is gonna be like, oh my goodness, like why wouldn't you even just tune the guitar, or why wouldn't you just like figure out what the line is and then sing it? But it's not that. It's like it comes out sometimes, and
mm-hmm.
when you're recording, you've hit record. Sometimes it was, and you can't even recreate it. So it's the imperfection in there that actually makes it great, And I can't recreate that. So we're gonna take this weird nugget of an idea and see what goes with it. It doesn't have to be that nugget, and because I can't create that again,
Mm-hmm.
And but you still roll, and when you're collaborating with other people, there's this element of trust and also excitement that you can do this together. It's like, we bounce off, we bounce off, we bounce off, we bounce off. Now we're over here, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, holy crap, how do we even come here? I don't know, but it was through trust.
I love everything you're saying about the power of collaboration and trusting that like letting go is like an act of trust. That's really powerful. That's gonna be in the noodle for a while there.
That
Um,
that was a hard one for me. For me, that element of I'm not the loud one in the room. I'm the
mhm.
quiet one in the back who's listening and listening and listening. And then I'm going to pipe up when I have calculated all the variables within what has come out, filtered through me. I filter it out and I'm like, there we go. Here's the top idea. There it is. I say one thing and I think it's the best. And I'm like, it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
You gotta, I have to be okay with that idea not being the best. even though
Right.
I've done all the calculations, what I think are all the calculations. But I've also missed the remainder four and the whatever, and this matrix of that and that,
Yeah.
and I missed that, and um, but that's kind of a big part of it too. Being okay to have bad ideas, and I
Mm,
struggle with that still. You know.
it's hard. And I'm gonna go on a tangent now because you just sparked an
Yeah,
idea,
that's
a
how it works.
question in my head.
Tangents.
Yeah, we're
Life
all
is
over
full
the
of
place.
tangents, buddy.
Um, what are your feelings and thoughts on the difference between making creative things that someone else is telling you to, so i.e. like a job,
Yeah.
versus being in complete creative control? So like for me at my job, which you know about, like there are some times where you are executing someone else's vision and there's not really room for your opinion or your thoughts. You just have to do it. And then there's like on the other side of the spectrum when you're making something completely for yourself, not for like money, just like for fun, and you get to like run the show 100%. I just like love to hear your thoughts on like how each of those scenarios land for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly thought about that a lot. There are bits of my work now. I run a film and media production company ultimately, and a lot of the work that we are getting is somewhat creative. So it's in the creative realms, but it's not, eh, our opinion doesn't really matter. We can help craft it in a way that comes across a little bit more creative.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, it's not my project, and I really want it to succeed, but I don't get fulfilled when it does succeed. I'm
Mm,
happy. I'm happy that I did a great job for someone and helped them, their company grow or whatever it may be. But I've realized that I still need my own personal project to thrive.
mm-hmm.
So it's okay if your full-time thing is, like I think what I'm finding is like 90% of the work I'm doing right now is for other people and their creative opinions matter, and I'm crafting it to help them get to
Mm-hmm.
their point. But the 10% is what I need for myself. So I need to carve out time to do that separately for no monetary value, for nothing aside from me feeling better about life. It's
Mm,
it's this weird, I didn't realize how powerful it was for me.
yeah.
And the one of the my favorite things that I've done in the past couple of years, I just had this weird vision. In fact, I think I was following someone on Instagram, and stop motion animator, and he put out a little challenge, and he's like, "Hey, I thought we'd do a theme this month, and maybe people can put in some submissions, and the theme is fruit and vegetables."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's random, but fun, And like
Yeah.
most of the people who are submitting are probably like 7 or 8 year olds getting into stop motion. And it's really cute, like
Yeah.
adorable little stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I need this as a challenge. This is a good challenge for me too. I'm gonna do something every month for this year. I'll do an animation, simple. I'm busy, but I'm gonna carve the time out to do something. I can do it pretty minimal, but then I have a struggle with everything in life that I can't do things simple. I have to overcomplicate it because that's the way my brain works. When I get one little creative idea, it's like I said earlier, tangent, tangent, tangent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then by the time I roll it back to where the first thought was, I'm like, oh, it's far enough away, but also close enough away. It's still tight. So I worked on this project. I think it was, I planned on spending about 10 hours. So, a
Mm-hmm.
couple hours working on the storyboards and the story idea of it, a couple hours building a couple little creatures or whatever they were, and then like maybe a set. And then I'd animate for a few hours and edit probably for 5. And I think it ended up taking me 80 hours.
Oh my God.
I added so much. I added new scenes, I added new backdrops, and it was so fun though. I like
Mm,
I would just put the kids to bed and I would run downstairs to my little office here and I would just spend hours. I'd like, 1 a.m. I'd be like, oh crap, I should probably get to bed. And my wife's like, I guess we're not watching TV tonight together, huh? And I'm like, sorry, hon.
yeah.
But I'm so proud of it. And it did like so poorly on any of my socials. Like I'm like, oh, here's my thing. No one cared. It was
Yeah.
hilarious. And even I love it. The animator himself who put out the challenge, he's like, holy crap. like you could tell he really loved it.
Yeah.
He was also like, here's this kid's and the 7-year-olds and the 8-year-olds and mine was
Yeah.
like kind of like a weird, almost dark humor as well. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
oh man, but it brought me so much joy
Yeah.
that I yeah, and that's kind of it. So it's okay to have the projects where you're just being, quote unquote creative for other people, but you still got to have that true to yourself. This is me, and this is actually my humor. This is how I would do it.
Mm,
I think there's
yeah.
always going to be elements of you when you're doing other people's work, and I think
Totally.
that's fine as well. I mean that translates to music as well. Like I played in a lot of different bands over the years, and like not just Tegan and Sara, but any of the stuff that they recorded prior to me joining as well. I'm recreating someone else's bass lines. I'm
Mm-hmm.
copying them mostly note for note because that's what's required, but I have a specific style still that is played differently, and it just is. The nuances of it are actually really fun, and I love that part. So I'm totally okay with that. But when it came down to it, I still needed an outlet for myself.
Yeah, the need for it. I like that idea. And there's an interview of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Obviously he used to be a bodybuilding champion, governor of California, also, et cetera, et cetera. And there, people are like, "So you still lift every day?" And he's like, "Of course." It's like what? It's like you. That's like you asking me if I still breathe every day. I need to lift. I need to go to the gym. I need to do this. So I
Yeah.
feel like it sounds like, and I think this is the same case for me and plenty of other people. It's like there's this need that like helps make you feel like yourself. And you can tell, I know I can tell like when I haven't done something for myself in a while, it's kind of like it just like starts, it slowly builds after, like in a bad way, like that
Yeah.
feeling that you need to like go create something. And yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, but I would categorizing it more as
100% it is.
as a blessing.
It is, especially when you find something if your main desired outcome or creativity element isn't quite there or available to you at the moment, then you
Oh
have to find something to supplement it.
yeah.
And then you realize like very early on, oh crap, this is going to take over. This is going to take on a lot until I master this.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
and it just
so
becomes this
this
new
is going to be a chunk of
tangent.
time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm happy. But I'm glad I found something
Hmm.
to relieve the steam a little bit so my heart
Yeah,
is
like there's a valve that needs to
a
be
valve.
like
Yeah, it's
let
sweet.
out a little bit of it.
I've never been a coffee guy, but recently that's kind of like I got a simple coffee machine and I'm like steaming milk right now to make it all
Hmm.
like proper frothy and nice, and like that's my new thing. I'm like, I got to get good at this.
This is
I don't
great.
even care for coffee. It's like I just need to make something in the morning. I drink
Hmm.
half a coffee and I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to get loopy already.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's like that's it. That's all I
But
need.
that steam milk that I did tonight, there's like a good little wallop on top. I kind of loved it. I don't know what that was, and I don't know how I did it. Did I
Yeah,
hear that right? The hissing right? Was I? Yeah, it's obnoxious.
I love it. I love it, and that need to keep going, and like when that there's like that magical feeling when like the ideas are firing in such a way that you're like, ooh, and I can add that, and ooh, I can add that. I feel like there are a few feelings that are that good when you're doing work or anything creative. Like when you get that, when you're in that zone, oh, is it good?
Yes. Yes. The flow, as you know,
The
as
flow. Yeah, I was trying to, I was like, it's,
my
there's a
goodness,
word for this.
my
It's the
goodness,
flow.
it really is nothing better.
To go back to touring with Tegan and Sara, because I did want to ask this, because I'm personally am just really curious. What is one thing someone would be surprised to learn about touring on an actual tour bus?
It's a lot of close quarters. It's you're I mean, yeah, you can move around a bunch. There's in general, there's 12 bunks on a proper tour bus. So three stacks. So you can go bottom, middle, top, and then opposite you is the same, and then one more behind. So it's kind of there's a lot of people on there. As far as weird elements to being on the bus, you just realize that there are so many different types of creatures as
Hmm.
us humans are when
Yeah.
there's 12 of you in a small space. I mean, there's some guys we had at one of the earlier tours, we had kind of all our crew and band, and everyone was on the one bus, which is quite normal. But it is like we all have different personalities. We have different
Mm.
personalities. We had, this one guy who didn't last long in that camp. Let's say that in the first tour is brushing his teeth, getting ready for bed. Most of us are kind of in the front lounge. There's a little TV. We're just like chatting about the show and TV in the background. And he's getting ready for bed because I think he's up earlier as well. He's brushing his teeth, comes out of the bathroom. I can't really describe it, but he's like puts his leg up on one of the couches. He's in tighty whities,
Sure.
and he's sitting there. He's brushing his teeth, like really aggressively. You could see stuff kind of flying over, and like we're all kind of like, oh, what is happening? He's like, oh, what were you guys talking about? It was like one of those kind of moments. Where like, oh, and we're just like, we didn't know what to say because we are just still like, I can't believe this person has no personal boundaries.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Like, good on you for the hygiene, but like,
Yes. Yes.
keep it in the bathroom, bro.
But maybe keep it in the bathroom, and also it's kind of, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of us here, and maybe not all of us want to see you in your underwear.
Sure.
I
Feels
mean,
like a reasonable request.
it was just so strange. And I mean, yeah, I'm Canadian, but I didn't grow up playing hockey or in the the hockey dressing room. So even weird for me as another dude seeing this dude do this. I'm like,
Sure.
oh, what the heck? So there's a lot of that. Tour buses are strange places. Yeah. But there's also some like really great camaraderie that comes with it. It's a time to regroup, a time to there's a little back lounge too. Like you can have some quiet space. You can have there's always as humans we're like, yeah, you know what? Take the lounge yourself, have a moment. I know that was a challenging one tonight or something, like and it's kind of this like moments. There's really great moments of healing. There's great moments of
Mm.
everything. I mean, I think I've been in a few tour bus crashes as well.
Oh
Nothing
man.
major, thank
Yeah.
goodness. It's just a strange environment in general, you know. I think we woke up one time on the Autobahn because the bus driver fell asleep while driving on the Autobahn and a corner came around and luckily we smashed in the corner. So a few of us came out of the bunks, but not in a devastating way. He
Yeah.
obviously woke up and jammed on the brakes, but it was just like so many weird traumas, so many
Oh
weird
my
thoughts.
gosh.
But you are a family,
Mm.
despite everyone having their own weird, quirky personalities. When it comes down to it, this is us, this is our group, we care about each other, we want to make sure this continues. It brings out all the emotions, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell.
Yeah.
I can see it just in your face how fond you are of that time, and like even like the closeness with those people. Which brings me to another question, or maybe like just want your take on it. Is like, are we as a society, not to get too big, but like missing out on those like forced close experiences with people? I feel like, especially in the U.S. at least, there's so much uh individuality, like my own house, my own this, my own whatever, and like people are also, there's a loneliness epidemic, there's like housing situations going on, the lack of third spaces, and like everything you just were describing, which I absolutely love. And I'm like, I miss those things. Like in college you're in the dorms, you're surrounded by people, and I understand that's not like ideal for most people, but everything you get described, like the camaraderie that is like gained, and like understanding how people work, and the creativity that can flourish from being kind of quote unquote locked in with a group of
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
Like, do you think there's value in adding more of that to our lives?
I'm legit nervous about society losing this.
Mm.
I see it. I'm nervous for my family, for my kids growing up. I I think we are as a society losing a lot of that,
Mm-hmm.
and I think just our ability to communicate, even, whether you're locked in a little metal chamber driving for hours on end for 6 weeks across Europe, or whoever, you wake up in some strange town, you don't even know where you are or what the city is, but your tour manager has left a post-it note on the fridge saying, "Good coffee, 2 doors to the right."
Mm.
And then you're like, great, you go from there. But then you learn, and then you engage with the people at this great coffee shop, and you don't speak Swedish, but they clearly speak English, obviously. But you still have these conversations, and you get to know these
Yeah.
people, and like that was what really meant so much to me. And I mentioned it earlier, but it's like that personal relationship of being able to engage with people from different parts of the world that I would never
Mm,
engage with if I was just in a, working in my home, working here, working online, working at some more standardy type job. I think that's so important for me, especially. But I'm thinking of my kids. I'm like, I want them to engage with others. I want them to be okay to be talking to the cashiers at the grocery store,
hmm.
all that stuff. There's so many moments that I'm just aware of in life, and I see how people engage with others or don't, is ultimately
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That I think is just they're missing. This is life. Life is with other people,
Mm,
and I really, that's like the one thing for sure that I'm really pushing in on my kids as well. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we can bring so much joy to others, and it doesn't take much.
yeah.
It's simple acknowledgement. It's simple seeing this person, actually looking at them, genuinely asking, how are you? And being okay with them having an answer. I really think it's important. And as I love my animation. So when I saw Wally, that one hit me.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you watch it nowadays, you're like, we are
Oh
not
man.
far from that society now, where we
It's
standing
scary.
beside each other and they're like, beep boop, beep boop, texting someone who's sitting beside them because they don't, or we're all on these big moving chairs because why would we want to exert energy doing that?
Mm,
Like, there's just so much. I'm like, oh crap, oh crap. There's just, yeah, that's my long-winded way of saying I think we are missing a lot of simple engagements, and even the awkward engagements that
mm.
bring us together.
100% agree. Beautifully said. All that. I couldn't agree more, genuinely. So I hope that there will be some sort of reckoning's too aggressive of a word, but maybe new realization of the
I think,
emphasis
yeah,
of how important this stuff is. Because,
I think you'll
and
see. I think we're seeing pockets of it. We are.
yeah, people are
You
aware
know?
of it at least at this
Yes,
point, which is, step one.
that's
And
great.
then
Yeah.
what we do about it, I guess we'll find out. Okay, so we are unfortunately running out of time, so we're going to definitely do a part two of this because, as I
Nice.
mentioned in the beginning of this intro, you've lived many creative lives. So we want to give each of those lives a full episode, which is going to be really fun. But before we go, one of the two things we like to end our podcast on. The first is I want to give you your flowers and give you a chance to brag or boast or tell the audience about something you're really excited about right now. Maybe that's something to do with music or stop motion or animation or production or literally anything. This is your chance to kind of brag and like boast and be really and get excited.
Oh man, I mean, I don't know. I'm not very good at bragging. Uh, uh,
That's a good trait.
I don't know. I think there's an element of being okay with being better at it.
Mm,
Um, I would say that. I think, but yeah, it's just not me. But there's a lot of things that I am excited about.
yes.
But you know what? I'm gonna take it totally different because it's classic me. This is ridiculous. No, sorry, Ike. I'm crafting this conversation where I want to go.
Okay, take me on the
And
journey.
yes, I'm excited about this or that I'm doing. Like I'm loving my work. I created a new company fairly recently with a good friend, and it's awesome. And he's killer. And I can't be more excited for our partnership. And it's working better than I thought. Blah blah blah. That being said, I mentioned earlier also about like having that. You're doing 90% of your work for the people, and this is sometimes, but then you have that extra element of creativity you need to do. I am going to say that I stepped away from music a few years back. I wanted to see whether I was okay not performing, not playing music, not stuff. I mean, what it comes down to is I miss parts of it,
Mm,
but I don't miss most of it, which
yeah,
is great. I'm all right with that. I have to do everything at a high level, so I'm not interested in doing little things. But if a tour brings me to Japan, I might jump on that one.
sure.
However, I'm good without that. But we are also talking about finding those little elements, the valves to release some
Mm,
steam stuff. I've gotten way back in super into playing soccer again myself, and I stopped
yes.
playing as a kid. And I realized how much I absolutely love the sport, how much I can push into it and learn. And I mean, I've watched it my entire life, so I'm well aware of it. But then I forgot how much I love to run. And I know
Mm.
you're, a sprinter and runner as well. Like for me, I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of, oh yeah, that sounded really Minnesotan
That was a little
slash
Minnesota in there.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just a
I mean, I
little, just
am
a little bit.
Canadian.
Yeah.
It was a little more Eastern than it was West Coast. But I just absolutely love it. And it's so ridiculous because to me now, I miss performing. I miss being on
Mm.
stage performing. I don't miss wasting most of my day not really being able to create and do the things that I want to do.
Yep.
Oh man, that reminds me of something I'll talk about in the next one. But of how I got into more creativity from music.
Ooh, okay.
Um, but to me, I've supplemented that lack of performing on stage to playing soccer in a men's league, and really the pitch is now my stage. And I'm
Yes.
not saying I'm super good, but I work very hard.
Yeah.
And I just love that element of it being live. There's consequences to what you do when you don't. There's like rewards, you know, there's cheering on the sidelines from the one dad, from the one dude who's at every game, and good on him. That's awesome. So it's definitely different, but I love that element now. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about, is
I
being able
love
to
that.
run around and play again.
Yes. Run around and play
I haven't
again.
been able to be part of teams because I'm always on the road, or I'm always like
Mm.
subject to someone else's tour.
Yeah. I love that. That's really cool. And we'll talk about this in the next episode, but so couch this answer for later. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear your take on like performing creative acts versus like putting things out, like doing things
Yeah.
live, getting on a
Yeah.
stage, getting on the pitch, even talking about bigger like professional athletes and how that can be creative to like put on a show for people. Ooh, I got lots of questions for
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately,
Man.
we'll put a pin in it for now. I just want to say, Shaun, thank you so much for joining me on the pursuit of creativity, and also just for having a really cool life that we get to gab about for hours and hours and hours.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been fun. I think this is helpful for me even to remind myself. I'm like, oh yeah, I've done some pretty fun things in life, and sometimes I take it for granted.
Mm,
So, yeah, it's been really 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 fun just to go through it. Sometimes I don't even process my thoughts as well. I just go, and I'm jumping into this one heavy. So, do I owe you for this counseling session, or is this kind of like,
no, complimentary to all friends.
yes, love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you so much for joining me for yet another episode of The Pursuit of Creativity. If you enjoyed this conversation, if you got something from it, be sure to leave a like, a comment, a review, a rating, share it with a friend. Any interaction is incredibly helpful and I would really appreciate it. For more updates, be sure to subscribe to my Substack newsletter. It's called Small Steps. You'll get a weekly dose of intentional conversation about bettering and improving ourselves and our community. All these things will be linked in the show notes, of course. So once again, my name is Ikey Ajavon. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. And as usual, stay optimistic. Better days are coming.